Alright, so this is my Stam and a Sorc build. Alright, so we have the bow for back bar and dual wield for front. Let's go into his inventory quickly. Alright, starting from the top, we have Orders Wrath for our front bar. For our first 5-piece set. We have daggers with Nernhone on both. Weapon damage enchantment as well. Same thing with the bow here. We have precise to increase critical weapon and spell critical. You can see what this set here does. It increases our critical damage and critical healing by 8%, and then it also has a second, third, fourth bonus of weapon and spell damage and critical chance. And also with the fifth, we have 2 fifth item bonuses, and one adds even more crit chance, and then we have the increased critical damage and healing by 8%. So it's a very good critical set. Alright, going down here, we have 1-piece heavy Storm Fist, which, for those that don't know what Storm Fist does, here I'll read it, I guess. When you deal damage, you have a 10% chance to create a Thunder Fist to crush the enemy, dealing 1200 shock damage every 1 second for 3 seconds to all enemies within 4 meters, and a final 14,719 physical damage when the fist closes. This effect can occur once every 8 seconds and scales off the higher of your weapon or spell damage. Which, of course, those damage values can change depending on your build, your stats. But, of course, like it says, scales off of the higher of your weapon or spell damage. So as we buff up in combat, those damage values will increase. If we crit when the fist comes up, then that damage is going to be multiplied, by however much. We have Nern, Pillar of Nern for our third set, or second set, 5-piece. So we have the monster set Stormfist, then Order's Wrath for our first fifth, and then Pillar of Nern, which gives us maximum stamina, crit chance, weapon and spell damage. There's a lot of Pillar of Nern builds with Stormfist out there, by the way. The only thing that's a little bit different here is the Order's Wrath. But it's up there with like Reliqueen and stuff like that. It's just another option. I mean, you can go with like New Moon Acolyte or Reliqueen or what's that other one? Coral's Wreath if you're more of like a hybrid, I guess. Alright, so Pillar of Nern, for those that don't know, we get a line of max stamina, critical chance, weapon spell damage, and when you deal damage, you create a fissure underneath the enemy after 1 second, dealing 3,000 bleed damage to all enemies within 2.5 meters and causing them to bleed for an additional 14,000 bleed damage over 10 seconds. This effect can occur once every 10 seconds, so the uptime is constant. There's no downtime for it. And scales off the higher of your weapon or spell damage. Once again, so it works with magic builds and stamina builds. That's why everything says that nowadays. It says scales off your weapon or spell. It's because everything is kind of hybridy now. You can kind of go either way with everything. Every piece of gear can do it now. Alright. And then for the jewelry, we have Order's Wrath, which is, I haven't upgraded this. It's blue quality, as you can see. So is our waist piece. We don't have all divines yet, I don't believe. Nope. The helm is reinforced. I might not keep this light piece. I might make it heavy. Then again, I might run too light. I'm not sure. My resistance is kind of low. It's on the low side. Wearing full, all medium and one heavy, it's going to be on the low side. We have kind of a mix of enchantments going here. We have some max magicka, max health, max stamina. We can, I think I might change them all to max health. I'm not entirely sure just yet, but I think I may do that. Or maybe even just all max stamina. I won't go max magicka. I could go tri-stat on all of these. I think it's a cross between max health and tri. I don't think I want to go max stamina either. My stamina is already pretty solid. I think 30k is good enough for stamina. You could probably even fall down to like 29k, 28 at the least. But yeah, we have the Order's Wrath Golden Bow. We got purple daggers, so those also need to be upgraded. Alright, let's get into the skills. Now, when it comes to a Sorc, I always play Stamina Sorc ever since I tried this combination of skills right here, which is Deadly Cloak, Hurricane, and Critical Surge. Those three skills, when all three are active at the same time, right? So we have Critical Surge, Deadly Cloak, and Hurricane. Now the uptimes for Deadly Cloak and Hurricane are the same. It's 20 seconds, so that makes it a lot easier to control. What these will do is, whenever you're in combat, both of them proc every 2 seconds. So if you activate them at the exact same time, they're going to be stacking right on top of one another. As you can see there, they're stacking. Those, I think, dark colored numbers, the darker like orangey color, you can see them there. That's healing. That is healing being returned to me. Yes, so that's healing. So all that health is coming back to me. When you're in a mob, so say you're running a dungeon and you have about, 20 or 30 enemies coming at you, and in that situation, you'd probably want to have the 1 or 2 other people in your group, depending on the difficulty of the enemies, especially if you're in like veteran or something. If you have a mob of like 20 enemies, right? Now, if you activate those 3 skills, right, and then run up into that mob and just stand there, what is going to happen is all that healing is going to stack for every single enemy that is near you. So every 2 seconds, it's going to proc off of every enemy that is within like 8 meters. So you'll be getting, just an unlimited amount. It's like an unlimited amount of healing return. So in other words, it makes you basically immortal in a PvE situation. Unstoppable. As long as you keep those 3 skills active at all times, keep them up, you will not die in most PvE situations. To add some more to that, you can get something like Crystal Weapon and do a heavy attack. That's going to add some sustain, some burst damage, and even more healing. You heal every time you use a directly applied dark magic ability. That is one of the passives for the Stamina Sorc. So yeah, using Crystal Weapon, you're just getting more heals. And for people to think about, the Oaken Soul Ring grants you Empower at all times, increasing the damage of your heavy attacks by 70%. Crystal Weapon counts as a heavy attack. It counts the damage Crystal Weapon does counts toward your heavy attack damage. So if you're already doing 70% more heavy attack damage, proc your Crystal Weapon, do a heavy attack, and it's gonna just add to that heavy attack damage. It's wicked effective with a bow from what I've noticed, and not so much with a pair of daggers. I hit around 30k crits and like 40k crits, mostly 30ks. But you can proc the pillar with this very easily, like this very easily. Now, if you use a bow and heavy attack with a bow for whatever reason, I've noticed it crits for about 80 to 90k, a heavy attack with Oaken Soul. for me, I could not get my damage all that high with Oaken Soul equipped. I just couldn't. Being limited to 5 skills, 1 bar, I just couldn't get the damage high enough. The build was extremely easy to run. There was like, I mean, obviously no bar swapping. So the build was very easy. The rotation was basically just spam crystal weapon, which is wicked effective in PvP and PvE, in my opinion. But I mean, if you smack someone with this crystal weapon, it's basically hitting them with, it's like hitting, especially if it crits, you're basically hitting them with 2 dizzy swings. That's how I see it. So, and for those that have played ESO for a while, I'm sure you've been there, you know, spamming dizzy swing at people and then execute, trying to just take them out real quick. Well, crystal weapon will do just that. You just run up to them, smack them, have your deadly cloak up and your hurricane up, and that's all you need to kill someone in PvE. You know, if you add a Dawnbreaker on top of that, crit high, and then it's also going to increase the damage of your next few crystal weapons as well. And you just keep smacking them over and over. Just keep doing it. You know, and you're getting a lot of health return right now. You're getting, you know, a whole lot of good stuff. Now, that alone isn't going to sustain you. Well, it'll sustain you, it'll keep you in a fight, but the damage isn't going to be high enough. From what with Oaken Soul, I tried that. See, we just got 22k in those 2 minutes, which ain't much. Oaken Soul and Crystal Weapon, for some reason, that Empower doesn't seem to do anything with the daggers. Like, I don't notice a damage increase when I'm heavy attacking with these. I do the same damage I do. The damage I do now is the same as when I had the Oaken Soul ring on, when I heavy attack with these weapons. So I don't understand why I wasn't getting the empowerment when I was heavy attacking with my dual wield bar or my daggers. I'm still hitting for about 30k. When I had Oaken Soul, I was hitting 34k almost every single time. But then I'd switch to the bow, and I was hitting 90k for my heavies. That was with crystal and without. So it seemed like I was getting the empowerment with the bow. So maybe Oaken Soul was proccing with the bow, but not dual wield. I almost said maybe it was proccing off my back bar, but I didn't have a back bar with Oaken Soul. So yeah, the bow crits for way more, which brings me to something else. If you want a good PvP bow gank build, basically do the same thing but with a bow and heavy attack people with crystal weapon and then poison inject. That should be enough to kill someone, I'm pretty sure, or at least fuck them up. And if they come close, I mean, you got that deadly cloak and everything to kind of keep you going. You could drop a barrage on yourself, and if they're coming in close, they're just gonna get fucked up by everything, you know. And you can try to like poison inject them down, I guess. You could just hit them with some crystal weapons, which it's kind of cool. You convert your bow into a crystal weapon, right? So you're firing crystal arrows, which I like. It's like some Lord of the Rings kind of stuff. Lord of the Rings kind of stuff. It reminds me of like the elves from Lord of the Rings, the archers. They were nasty. But what was it, Legolas or something? Can't remember the names. But yeah, so crystal weapon and the bow kind of just go very well together. Alright, so basically I had these 3 skills right here when I had Oaken Soul, and then the other 2 on this bar would have been Hurricane and Crit Surge. That was my 1 bar build. Which would probably kick ass in PvP, but anyways. So now we have added to the build, we have Barrage and our Haunting Curse. That is going to add more damage to it. And a lot more bar swapping too. And I also noticed that our Pocket deal, our Dark deal, gives us a nice damage boost as well now. I don't think it gave this before, but if you look at Dark Deal nowadays, it says the exchange also grants you minor berserk and minor force for 10 seconds, increasing your damage done by 5% and your critical damage done by 10%. It never offered that before. So I used to just spam it as a heal and also, you know, to gain resources back. You can still do that, but hitting it once is more than enough to get a good damage boost. I don't even bother. The reason I'm wearing my Pillar of Nirn, actually, another reason I'm wearing this over this, is because, and I wasn't even rocking this with the Oaken Soul, because Oaken Soul gives you that minor force, which kind of, it makes our 5th bonus weaker here. We get the stacks of critical for the critical chance, but we won't get that critical damage at the end. The 10%. So it's no longer really useful. So basically, if we want that 10% now, we just hit a Dark Deal, and we'll also get stamina and health back. There's a lot of healing with this build. Alright, so we'd probably want to start off putting our curse on. Drop a barrage. Deadly cloak. I probably should have cloaked up first, but try to spam as much as we can. Maybe do a whirlwind. Come back over here. We lost a little bit of time there, but it's fine. This rotation is definitely going to take some getting used to, in my opinion. Let's pull up Dark Deal right quick, get some light attacks in there. This is a light attack build, by the way. I don't really heavy attack too often. If for some reason my resource really drains, I guess I could, but I try not to. So my Dizzy, or my Dawnbreaker, is critting for a little bit less now too. It used to hit 53k every single time. So I was hitting my max damage with it almost every time. Whoops. I'm definitely not trying to do my rotation perfectly right now, as you can see. I'm just kind of giving an example. Wrong with this. Our Stormfist just procced. Now, by the way, Stormfist, you have a 10% chance to have that proc. For 10%, it procs pretty often. Sometimes it's like like it'll be like every other second. Like there it is again. It can only proc so much though, so it's not gonna be, you know, every other second. I think it's like every 8 seconds it can pop up. But you can get it to pop up basically every 8 seconds. Let's see if that Pillar of Nirn's gonna come back up soon. Let's throw some whirlwinds in there. We're getting under that 50%. Get our Deadly Cloak. We gotta keep that up always. Same thing with our Hurricane. Hurricane's probably about to wear off, so we're gonna hit that. We just started running out of our stamina, so we're actually going to pot now. Let's do a quick heavy attack here too. Why not? Ready? Heavy, boom. Not bad for damage. We got all of our stamina back. Heavy attack again. A couple light attacks here. Spam. Okay, I reset my Hurricane a little soon there, but oh well. Now, sometimes if you time things correctly, I mean, you can get some insane numbers with this build. It's gonna probably be around 40k damage, I believe. and that's without trying. We'll see. Yeah, I'm like procking things or using skills way too early. Spam some whirlwind here. .44k DPS. We killed it in 5 minutes, though. Well, actually, no, it's not 5 minutes because I was. I think it was longer. It was 5 minutes from where we started the fight back up. His health was already low, but I'd kill him in about. I want to say, if I'm like nailing my rotation, I haven't even figured out the rotation fully, but I think it's something like crystal weapon, light attack. We'd get our 4 from this. Whirlwind, switch, then it's barrage, and then right back to it. If we can get off 2 crystal weapons, we will. We have to up this, cast that, come back, bring it up, put your curse on, crystal weapon. That's it. I mean, it's not that bad. It's just the, I don't know, it feels awkward, I guess, with the uptimes for things. Something like some of these skills last a long time. It's primarily just crystal weapon, whirlwind, and this we got to keep up. And then every 20 seconds we got to hit our cloak again and just keep that going. And that's about it. So the build it needs, you know, some trait change, enchantment changes. The pieces need to be upgraded from blue to gold, purple to gold, blue to gold, and same thing here, purple to gold. And all of those things will up the damage. So without trying, I'll say trying, we're hitting just over 50k damage. Once the build is maxed, I see no reason why we won't be hitting around 60k or higher. I feel like 60k is the minimum that this build is going to be doing. It's a good kind of like starter build. It's still fairly easy to use. It's simple. To stay alive, you just keep these 3 skills up. This is going to keep you in the fight, as well as give you some insane burst damage. I mean, you can take it into PvP, you can take it into PvE. It's definitely aimed more toward PvE though. But yeah, I mean, you can definitely play around with this and you know, maybe get a better outcome than I have. I know Crystal Fragments is very strong, probably a bit better than Crystal Weapon if you're a Magicka build. A lot of hybrids run Crystal Weapons. I probably could be running Crystal Fragments. I don't know if that is considered direct damage though, and I like that we get Dark Magic. Yeah, when you hit an enemy with a directly applied Dark Magic ability, you heal for 3k, and it kind of works well with Critical Surge. While active, dealing critical damage heals you for 3,333 health. This effect can occur once every second. So it's the same amount of damage, it's a little over 3k, so that's just going to be stacking on top of this every second, so you're really getting like 6k, and if those numbers, if that 6k crits, you know, all three types of damage, because then you also have Deadly Cloak going off every 2 seconds, another one that's just about 3k, and if those are critting, I mean, you could be healing for probably like 40 to 50k every other second, you know, or more, getting that back every other second in health. So it's very hard to kill a Stam Sorc, and that's why I can only run a Stam Sorc. I won't run anything else. He's definitely taken some nerfs, but hopefully he'll get buffed back up, and this build will only become stronger in the near future. But alright, now I am about to go work on a 1-bar DK, which is all going to be surrounded by his Flame Lash. Same kind of concept with the DK. Those are my two favorite classes, just because they both have patterns or, you know, combinations of skills that cause, you know, a decent amount of damage, but at the same time return great amounts of health to the player. And in my opinion, I mean, there's nothing better than doing damage and at the same time getting health back, you know, without actually having to use a heal ability or needing a healer to heal you. I mean, I'd much rather be able to just focus on doing damage and you know, get that health back all at the same time. I don't have to take my attention away from doing damage, you know, or worry about animation canceling to try and heal myself. I'd rather do it all at once. And now the DK can do that just as well as the Stamina Sorc with Flame Lash. And Flame Lash is a very powerful attack, and it's also a powerful heal. So you'll want to just spam it until your target is dead, basically. Now the idea I have is casting Unstable Wall of Elements to get that stun or off balance effect that we need to proc our Flame Lash and do, I think, Power Lash. So yeah, we'll be using Wall of Elements and Flame Lash primarily on single targets. The other nice thing about it is using Wall of Elements to get our stagger effect or our off balance effect is that it's an AoE. So using a lightning staff against a mob of enemies, I believe you'll be able to spam that Flame Lash against all of the enemies. So I think it may end up being a Magicka build, and I have not done many Magicka builds in the past. I've done like one or two. One of them was a bomber, and yeah, I think actually both of them were bombers. No, yeah, I made 2 bomber magic builds, and I think the other was, oh man, shit. It was a 1-bar before Oaken Soul was around. It was a 1-bar. It was a VMA build, is what it was. It was set up for VMA. It was kind of a bomber, but with a lot of survivability. We had the pets on. I can't remember. What's it called? Not necromancer. Well, there's a set you can get from, I want to say, Stormhaven or from one of those first zones from the base game. And basically, it's all max magicka, and the 5th bonus gives you another like 3k max magicka when you have a pet active on your bar. So yeah, it was a max magicka set, and that with, I think it was the Lich Crystal or something, monster set, and what was the other set? It might have been Mother of Sorrow, Lich, and Lich Crystal, and that's that set for max magicka. And that was basically all, and I ran VMA with that for a while. But alright, but this build right here is very close to what I actually complete VMA with, so this can probably do VMA no problem. It's probably a little overkill. You could definitely dummy this build down some, or like lighten the build, get rid of barrage. You won't need that. I would have actually a skill that's wicked important in my opinion for VMA would be, we'll buy it right now too, Venom Arrow, and that's so you can interrupt enemies at a distance, especially if you don't have a gap closer like on a Sorc. Which he does, kind of. He has a couple things he could do. You can go into the Fighters Guild. Every class has gap closer. I mean, Fighters Guild. You got Silver Bolts, which you can morph, and you'll be able to pull enemies to you, which is a lot of fun on the Sorc, because you have all this AoE around you that heals you when enemies get close. Which, you know, so pulling them into you, it's like you're just a wall of destruction, and you're just pulling, you know, enemies to you and, you know, fucking them up. He's a, you know, it gives it a real brawler feel to it. So I mean, you can use that in VMA if it doesn't feel like it's, you know, too much work trying to pull everything to you. Or you can use, like I said, the, where is it? Venom Arrow, and that's actually what I recommend over probably Barrage, or even you could probably swap out Dark Deal. I wouldn't do that. You could even get rid of Hunt and Curse and just add Venom Arrow and keep your Barrage. But I would get rid of Barrage since it's an AoE and you have to place it, and you'll probably be moving a lot in VMA, I'd like to imagine, for some of those arenas like the Frost one, which a lot of people struggle with. Yeah, you'll want something, you know, that you can use on the move. And Haunting Curse would be nice for that werewolf boss. I mean, you can just throw that on him and keep the damage up at all times. If you try to put a barrage on him, an arrow barrage, he's gonna leave it. He's gonna leave that area probably like right after you cast it. The thing with that boss is he keeps moving from patch of ice and trying to destroy all three, so that you have nowhere to go and you end up, you know, dying in that frozen water. So he's trying to destroy the only safe area that you have, basically. So you'll want skills that can burst him down fairly quick. It's kind of a DPS race, but you also need to be able to stay alive and take on a lot of range incoming projectiles and whatnot. You'll have a lot of ranged enemies in that stage of VMA, which I'm already thinking of many ways to work around all that, or defend against all of that, especially on a DK. Anyways, alright, I'm out. I'm gonna go work on that DK build now. Hopefully I can have it done tonight, or at least start it.